That was the Searchers. Guess who we've got on the phone line as well? Mr. Frank Allen from the Searchers. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. It's a beautiful day down here, and I'm feeling top of the world.
It's absolutely gorgeous here as well, so brilliant stuff. Now, the Searchers, they've been on the go for quite some time, shall we say?
Yes, many years. Actually, it'll be 49 years for me this year.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
Well over 50 for John McNally, because John, we count our anniversaries from mid-62 when it actually became the Searchers. That was about a year before the first hit. But in fact, it started off really before that as a little skiffle group in about 58 or 59.
Wow, so you've been on the go quite some time.
Yeah.
And you're still going strong, right the way through the 70s and 80s.
Incredibly busy. This year's been absolutely ludicrous. We always have the most insane schedule, but this year already we did, at the end of January we went to Australia for 6 weeks. We came back, we did, we came back for 12 days and we did 5 shows during that 12 days. Then we went straight back to New Zealand for 2 weeks. Came back from there, day and a half off, back into the normal all-evening concerts part of this tour that we're doing now, and then that included a one-nighter over in Spain as well. So it just gets madder and madder.
So how do you maintain the pace?
Well, we like it really. We've got our health, we've got an audience, and we love what we do. So I suppose if those things are in place, then it's quite easy. It's when we stop that it becomes difficult, because if you stop for a few weeks, your voice gets out of condition and you get used to lying around, so it's harder to pick up. It's a bit like after the school holidays.
Yeah.
But, so the more we keep going, the easier it is.
So when are you coming up to Scotland, and in particular Fife?
Oh God, you asked me now. I haven't got the dates in front of me. Have you not got them there?
I have indeed. Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank God for that. I do have the diary in the other part of the kitchen there, which I could have got. But you sound like an efficient man.
I don't know about that, but I do know it's on the 19th of May up at the Rothes Halls.
Oh, fabulous! Yeah, okay. I there's so many dates we got in that I don't really keep them in my head, except for the ones that are coming during the next week. Like the end of this week, we're at Leamington and Stanford, and and then I don't know where we are the week after. I just kind of check as things are going along.
What should people expect if they come along to one of your gigs? Is it all the classics, or do you write new material as well?
Well, it's a full 2 hours of us on stage plus an interval, and during that time you really get the whole history of the Searchers in music and little anecdotes and amusing stories. A few new things as well. Well, not maybe, some new things, some old classics that we've done just because they're songs we like, but in the main 90% of the thing is Searchers material. Now, I counted up the songs in the set list the other day, and 20 of the songs were either singles, album tracks, or B-sides that we recorded through the years, and 7 songs were maybe, a couple of tributes to people, some things that we've taken and made our own, and goodness knows what. So that's about the percentage.
You mentioned the wee stories and anecdotes there. Are there any you can share with us just now?
Nothing real.
Sorry, put you on the spot again.
Or just anecdotes. Well, amusing. I tell you what, you meet some funny people as you go along. I remember we did a show once. It was during the time when we were doing mostly clubs, and we'd gone round really well at a club, and a little owner of another club who got the number from John McNally rang him up about a few days later and said, I want you to come and play at our club. So John told him the fee. The man nearly had a heart attack when he told him how much we charged. He said, we can't afford that. We're only a little club. He said, well, that's the fee. You either take it or leave it. He said, well, look, I tell you what, we don't need 4 of you. How much for 3? I've never forgiven John for not finding out which 3 he actually wanted.
Oh, I don't know if you wanted to know that really anyway.
But we've had some great times. We've done some momentous occasions. Like we did 2 days at Wembley Stadium in 1989 as guests of Cliff Richard on his 30th anniversary shows, because he's become a big mate. In fact, I was with him in Sydney just the other week. That was just phenomenal. I remember when I just joined the band, we went over to New York to do a series of shows. 7 days in New York, 6 shows a day, and the lineup, listen to this, it was the Searchers, Dusty Springfield, Millie, Marvin Gaye, Martha and the Vandellas, the Supremes, Smokey Robinson, the Miracles, the Temptations, the Contours, Little Anthony and the Imperials, the Shangri-Las, the Ronettes, the Dovells, Jay and the Americans, and the New Beats.
Wow.
Pretty impressive, isn't it?
That's an amazing lineup. That sounds like a fantastic day.
Life doesn't get much better than that, working with your idols. Now, these days, if Marvin had kept himself in good health and, not got himself shot, he'd ridden out all the bad times, he would be filling arenas himself now.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned quite a few other people there. Do you draw inspiration from any of them?
Oh yeah, all of them. That we drew inspiration before we ever worked with them. I mean, our whole early catalogue was based on the Motown sound, really. All the soul people and the rock people of America. I mean, let's face it, pop music is American. It was never British. I mean, the Beatles changed all that, and suddenly we could, Britain really took over the world, and we could create stuff ourselves. But initially, and for the Beatles themselves, it was American music. We heard the great pop songs out there, and we really just tried to replicate them. And it sounded different when we did them because we had different instruments, we were different players, and we had different voices. But it really was American music. And for most of the bands that made it, it was the black soul artists from the Motown stable and the Atlantic stable, people like that.
Like any band, the Searchers is continually evolving. What's the current lineup?
The line, yeah, well, we have had changes, mostly in drummers. Our newest member is our drummer. We've had 5 drummers through the years since dear old Chris Curtis left at the end of a '66 tour of Australia with the Rolling Stones. And the latest one is Scott Ottaway, who's been with us a remarkable 3 years now. It seems to have flown by in an instant. But outside that, it's been pretty stable. I mean, as we spoke just now, John and I have been there all these years, 49 years for me this year, over 50 for John. Our lead singer these days has been Spencer James since the end of '85. That's 27 years. So there are changes, but not that many.
Do you find it easy to adapt to these changes when they come about?
It's easier changing to a drummer than it is to a lead singer, of course, because there's a specific role that a drummer has to play, and it doesn't involve working out vocals and harmonies and things like that. A drummer is a drummer. He's either a good drummer or a bad drummer, and he just suits you or he doesn't. So that's pretty much easier. If you wanted to find a new singer, it's a bit harder. They've got to fit so many criteria. They've got to have the kind of voice that suits your material. They've got to have a good voice. They've got to look good and fit in with your lifestyle. So that isn't so easy.
Indeed. Well, Frank, thanks for chatting to us this afternoon on Radio West Fife. And we really are looking forward to the Searchers coming up to the Rothes Halls. And it's on the 19th of May, yeah?
Fantastic. Yeah, we're looking forward to it so much. I mean, I'm half Scottish anyway, and all my family is Scottish. I was the first one to be born in England, so I always look forward to coming back there.
Excellent stuff. Well, we'll chat again soon, and all the best with the tour.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers
Bye now.
Bye-bye.